I didn't believe it when I first discovered I had a fan base. I mean, I'd get some letters and people would buy my toenail clippings for 150 bucks. You know, go to the conventions, and there was quite a line, always a line at the conventions, which was very appealing. People from around the world, Germany and France and England, and that's a very exciting thing.
I heard they were going to be shooting the poster for the film, and they didn't use me, even though I was a major character in the show, but they wanted women with large breasts, and that wasn't me. But when I saw it, it was sort of like, that's okay. It was called Slumber Party Massacre, and I was like, wow.
I was just raised on horror movies. It's what I like to do. Actually thought it was probably easier to get into because I would watch a lot of the low-budget horror movies, and it's like, you know, that's got to be a little, obviously, more easy than going into Warner Brothers. I don't specifically only want to do horror movies now, but as far as like getting into the industry, I did seek out horror. I went to the conventions and tried to make contacts that way.
I'm ethnic. That's the first thing that's against me. I'm 100% Italian. And there's not, I mean, you tell me, how many Italian actresses can you name right now? We're catering to middle America, so everybody has to be fair and blonde. And especially when I was a teenager, Christy Brinkley was the, you know, stereotype of what everybody wanted to look like and have on their TV.
No, really my own persona. I mean, some people, you know, that don't really think beyond the fact that you have black hair immediately just say something like Elvira or goth or something, but I don't even consider myself goth. I mean, I wear colors.
And I just bebopped in there, and it was a good thing, probably because I was really relaxed, and I was like, okay, and I read for the role of Diane. It was just so fast. It was like, Brandy, can you go out and wait in the waiting room? And I was like, okay. I left there at probably 4:30 and got a phone call at about 6 o'clock, and they said, okay, let's go, you're gonna play Diane.
I have had a wonderful time meeting people, having them come up, tell me, you scared me to death. Of course, I felt so upset about that at first, and they said, oh no, that's wonderful, don't worry about it. A little girl asked me a question. She must have been about 10. I went down to her. I said, what is it about horror films that you like? She looked at me with this great intensity. She said, I like to see how many different ways people can kill each other.
If I lived in any other city, I would consider myself a fairly attractive woman. But I live here in LA. And now I'm on a soap where it's like beauty personified. And you see them on TV and they're beautiful, and then you see them in person and they're even more beautiful. It's always in your face. You're always reminded that you're not so perfect.
In Abducted 2, I played a victim who was the middle character, which was a very difficult character because really all she got to do was whine. That was more of a stretch. It was harder for me because I could never allow myself to be that in real life. So that was so challenging for me. I was so exhausted after making that movie. You know what? American Nightmare, a lot of people really like, but that's more me, naturally.
For over 100 years, audiences have sat in theaters, transfixed with horror and intrigue at the suspenseful, scary, and often violent images playing out before their eyes. Amidst the gruesome visages of savagery appears a beautiful female, alluring and sexy, but always welcoming to both the viewer's eyes and heart. She is often the heroine, or in an attempt to shock viewers, the unexpected victim, or vixen. She often doesn't know her own beauty, but it's destined to get her into more trouble than she'd ever imagined. Come with us as we explore the women who have made audiences scream for more. In the opening chapter of his book, author and director John Keyes wrote, "It was the scream heard round the world." He was referring to Fay Wray's immortalization in cinema history as the first actress known for the piercing tone of terror exuding from her lungs as she was taken hostage by King Kong in 1933. Hence, the Scream Queen was born. Typically, however, the Scream Queens, which were forever seared into the hearts of horror and mainstream enthusiasts, were complete unknowns, actresses often making their film debut. Scream Queens evolved from hapless, fainting, or dead victims to powerful and in-control warriors. I should know. I made my first Scream debut in 1982's The Slumber Party Massacre, a satirical slasher flick that poked fun at the exploitation establishment. My life has never been the same since. Hi, I'm Brink Stevens. Like many other actresses, I'd been heading down a completely different career path. In my case, a master's degree in marine biology. After budget cutbacks left me without work, I was looking for a way to pay the bills. One day, by pure chance, I walked by a modeling agent's office. I was called inside, and my destiny was set in motion. 2 decades later, with 125 speaking roles to my credit, in films of all genres, but mostly horror, I continue to make a living doing what I do best, screaming. Though other actresses' lives were different, they all shared that first step in the door. Some intended, some not.
I got involved in the film industry because I left Northern California and started my life over via an accident where my horse jumped on a car and I won a lawsuit, and with that money I traveled. And on the last trip I got discovered and someone said, "Come to Los Angeles, I'll make you a star." And I was like, just drove my little pickup truck as fast as I could to get the hell out of there. Everybody's doing drugs and having babies, and I didn't want to do that.
I had made The World's Greatest Lover with Gene Wilder, and that was another one where I sort of got picked because of my athletic ability. I had to do a couple of round-off back handsprings on a cement floor at 20th Century Fox and got in as a dancer in that film.
My mother wanted to be an actress and moved out to Los Angeles from New York for her to pursue her career. And you know, soon after divorced and was left with 2 kids and couldn't really do it. And I tell people, you know, when you live in LA and you have any sort of outgoing personality, someone somewhere is going to say, "Hey, you know, my uncle's an agent, you know, get me a headshot."
Night of the Living Dead.
I worked with practically everybody in the film. Carl Hardman, Marilyn Eastman, George, Jack, Russ. We all did voiceover work, television, commercial work together in Pittsburgh. I got a call from Carl saying, "We're going to make a film, would you like to come home and audition for it?" So I flew back from Hollywood to Pittsburgh, ended up getting the part of Barbara.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Fabulous Stains. I was 11, 12 years old. I had an extra role with 1 line, and I was one of the few key extras. And in every scene when he said, "Okay, now you're looking through the window, a group of 5 people, you're really looking for Diane Lane," I was really looking for Diane Lane, and I was the only one. Like, the rest were just sort of like effing off and just, you know, this is fun, it's a movie, da-da-da.
I started out doing a talent show when I was like 8, I think. I sang along to Paper Roses by Marie Osmond. I did not win.
The director was Lou Adler, and he had an assistant director, Tom something. And that man changed my life because he said to me, "You know, I just want to thank you because you did a really good job." And I felt like that felt really good. This is what I want to do.
Second year, did an original song. And that kind of started it all. Won that talent competition, got involved doing commercial work in the Atlanta area where I'm from. It kind of blossomed into me doing a lot of theater, a lot of commercials, and then I moved out to Los Angeles while I was on tour with a play.
When I was a little girl, I told my parents, like most little girls, that I wanted to be an actress. And they enrolled me in singing and dancing lessons, and I got a manager.
Doing Domination and doing a lot of interviews and photo shoots from that kind of helped me to work my way into this a little bit easier, I think, because I just went to conventions and made contacts.
Robert Hiltzik, the director of Sleepaway Camp, called that particular manager and asked for a 13-year-old, flat-chested, wide-eyed girl. And they sent me out. I met with him. And I guess the rest is history, as they would say.
I started acting basically because I had some friends. I was kind of more in the music, local music scene in Virginia. And I had a friend who wanted to act who was in Guar. And their photographer was this film student, and he started making some films. And the first choice was like me and the sky to be in them. So
I'd worked on a movie called Party Incorporated with Chuck Vincent, and one of the fellows in that movie had played the Toxic Avenger either in part 2 or 3. He said, "Oh my God, you got to go over and see Troma." You know, I said, "You know, I really love horror movies," and he said, "You're in New York City, you got to go see Lloyd." So I called up Lloyd and I was doing an interview with him, and true to Lloyd's nature, once I told him I was a fan and I was an actress, he was like, "Well, you got to come in and pose for posters."
You know, when we were doing that close-up, Christine, I could have sworn you were Marilyn Monroe in River of No Return. You were so beautiful.
Really, Larry?
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I could go a couple more times.
But I had an acting teacher who was asked to submit people as interns to help clean the bathrooms and fill the potato chip bowls and make sure when 2020 and hard copy and Inside Edition come, they have their coffee. So that's what I was.
Right about that time, he was talking about doing Tromeo and Juliet, the movie, and he said to me, "You know, I see something in you." He says, I want you to be in Tromeo and Juliet. I don't know what, I don't know how, but you know, in about a year we're going to do it.
I know how you feel about her. I feel it too. She feels that way about you.
One of the girls couldn't make her third callback, and so I went in and read with her. And I did the scene with no pressure on me because it was all about the guy. And when we started to leave and I said goodbye to everybody, they said, whoa, bring the intern back. And Jay Bernstein sat me down and we just chatted a bit, and he said, I want you coming back tomorrow, and I don't want you interning here. You're an artist, you're an actress now. You're in the running for this contest. I was like, okay, no more bathroom cleaning for me.
I immediately started working. I'm doing sitcom work. I was really, really busy. I was 16. I took the GED so I could work as an adult, got legally emancipated from my parents so I could work as an adult on set. I didn't have any friends. That was probably the worst.
There's another similarity that many horror film actresses share. They never intended to become scream queens and often had no idea that the film they were most associated with would make them a cult celebrity. Even more interesting, many of them made their film, went on with their lives and careers, and never even knew that they became famous.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Had no idea. We all were young and excited about making film. We all loved the medium. It was fun. Everybody helped with everything.
From like 13, 14, 15 years old, it was major. It was a big deal.
Sleepaway camp. You won't be coming home.
And then somehow it just vanished. No one ever talked about it. I never heard anything about it.
How many movies? You know more than I think 4 sequels to Slumber Party Massacre?
The Slumber Party Massacre.
Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Slumber Party Massacre, Part 3.
Then there's an audience. You don't make movies unless you don't keep making these sequels unless there's an audience.
People contacted me, Jeff Hayes, who started this site, Sleepaway Camp Movies. And once that happened, there were directors who wanted to get involved with me and put me back in horror movies.
Drink this tea. It's gonna make you feel better, honey. Come on. Thank you. Poor Gina. Don't pity me.
Used to receive a lot of fan mail from Slumber Party, and I still have my first fan letter from Slumber Party, and you know, one of my little trunks.
It played such a major part at that point in my life, disappeared completely, and now it is my world. I'm fully consumed with Sleepaway Camp, with conventions.
I would say at least once a week, somebody will come up, the film will come up, I'll get a call, saw your film the other day. It has truly changed my life.
Reach out with your senses. Take him.
Bloodlust, Subspecies 3.
It wasn't really until 3 was released that I realized this is something people like, you know, they're chomping at the bit for the next one. Yeah, I started getting fan mail and drawings. People would draw Michelle and with all of her great curly hair and fangs and dresses.
An innocent corrupted.
People say to me, "You look familiar." They don't know what it's from, but they'll say, "You look so familiar. I've seen you before." And then I'll try to like list other things that I've done, you know, because I've done tons of theater. I've been in over 70 plays, but it usually becomes something like Slumber Party Massacre.
A lot of people have gotten their start in Slumber Party. It was a great opportunity.
I have, you know, young men emailing me pictures of their penis saying, "Is my penis too small?" And this is a true story. You can't be, you know, delete, "Oh, I don't want to see that nasty penis." That's someone's heart and soul that is trusting it in somebody who he trusts as a sex expert to say, you know, if it was any bigger than that, it would hurt me. And he goes, "Well, why does it bend to the side?" It's like, because you tuck it in your underwear.
Let's start with the positives. One, you get to work, which is creatively satisfying. And creatively satisfying is #1 for me. Hands down, it's the only reason to do it.
I love getting really close to my director and having a dialogue, really communicating. I want to know their vision. That's so important. I know I'm hired as the actress, so I have to do my job. But I have found a couple of times that there was almost no talking, let alone guidance or rehearsal.
You get to work in the medium of film, which, hey, there's hundreds of millions of people out there that want to. So the fact that you get to is a pretty amazing thing.
Let me get down to business. I want you to show me how to kill people. How you kill people. You do that for me, and I burn the little letter my friend has.
A lot of times where you have a performance in a movie that you don't like and you wish you could have gone back and fixed it, and it would have been like, oh, if this is an A movie, that would have never been in there because I would have had a chance to fix it. But there's something to be said, B movies are a lot like theater, where like you just go and do it and you don't really have a lot of takes. It keeps you on your toes. I think it's better than in the acting class. I mean, people should just go and B&B movies instead of taking acting classes. That'll teach you more than anything.
When you work on a soap, it's very fast. You know, you get your script a couple days before, you show up and you do it. And that's similar to a B movie.
Considering we were on limited space, we had shared dressing rooms. You know, we had some minor tiffs here or there. Why didn't you close the door? Because, you know, the air conditioning was on and now it's hot in my dressing room. Things of that nature.
Those are the reasons to do this. Now, if you didn't have those reasons, there would be no reason to do this because there is no money in this business.
We're not there for the cash, we're there for the joy, you know? So even though in a you know, a low budget film, you're not together very long, I found that I've gotten much closer to the cast and crew in any low budget film that I have in any higher budgeted TV show.
But I think overall, in between, while they were setting up for a new scene, we'd all congregate in each other's dressing rooms, you know, and it actually probably made us more comfortable, I would think, shooting the film because we're playing friends in the film and we actually were, you know, friends off.
The first job that I did, I felt successful. I was an extra on The Doors, but just to be on a set, just to be on any movie set and have a trailer and a little piece of tape with the name Julie Strain on it and just smell the coffee brewing and see the little production vehicles rolling up and the wires crossing the street. I mean, that was magical to me.
Slumber Party was great as my first film because it was like, this can be fun.
God, I am so jealous.
When I finally did Liar Liar years later, I was like, oh, okay, this is a different ball game here. But I know how to have fun, and I know I can go to craft services, and I know I can talk to people, and I know, you know, there's more of a hierarchy. There's more people that you have to talk to in order to get things done.
I kind of could have went home after a couple little movies and, you know, been happy with my little pay stubs that said the Warner Brothers or whatever on it. But, you know, once I was here, they just kept coming in and I couldn't say no.
The money is so bad that if I pay all my bills every month, it is required that I make at least work a certain amount of days every single week of the month. And so people say, oh my God, you are so busy. You did 25 movies last year. And I'm like, yeah. And I still couldn't pay all my bills. You know what I mean?
Now all we have to do are a couple of pickups and we go right home.
Larry, my contract says 15 hours and I've been here 22 hours now. I want to go home.
The jerking off of the work is not fun for me. Poor Jennifer Lopez has to go to Korea and Japan and Germany and England just to go wave to the fans and walk up that red carpet and watch the movie one more time. Like, does she really enjoy watching that movie for the 30th time with a bunch of strangers? Even though I do enjoy the press and I love the magazines and the radio and little local TV shows, getting on an airplane to do it and eating foreign food for breakfast isn't my way of starting a day.
Being a female actor in a largely male-populated industry, which often markets to a predominantly male viewership, has led many actresses to broach the subject that ingenues fear most, on-screen nudity. I made a career out of nude work in many early films like Nightmare Sisters, Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bolorama, and Haunting Fear. For me, and many other actresses, it was seldom an issue. For others, it was a nightmare.
I'd been to a couple of auditions, made it to the callbacks, and Amy said, there is going to be some partial nudity in this. And I asked her how much. I think I was probably the 50th actress that had asked her that day, and she said, look, you know, if you can't do it, we'll have to get someone else. This is just part of the movie. So I knew going in that there was going to be some partial nudity, but I didn't know how much.
Yeah, I mean, I turned down a lot of roles because I don't do nudity, which is a big thing in this industry. But to get roles and not do nudity and still keep working, that means a lot in this industry, I think.
But you know, girls will be girls.
Yeah.
And from time to time, they need a good spanking or a good nipple piercing.
Well, that's how I feel.
It does a body good.
I want to do what you do, I want to do the kind of movies you do, and I don't want to tell another young girl to go do nudity in movies. I had to do the nudity in movies because I didn't have any acting talent, and I was almost 30 years old. I was 31 when I was the Penthouse Pet of the Year.
The opening shots of the film are of the lead character changing, and you know, it's like, they're sort of like prolonged shots of body parts. And my feeling was that Amy Jones, you know, and you know, this was part of her journey. She had to make a film that was appealing mainly to a male audience.
I had signed a clause when I first signed on to do the film to not do nudity. I believe Maria Ford, she had some nudity, but I personally did not do any nudity. I mean, it's my first film. I really wanted to, you know, see what I was doing before I go and like bare my body to everybody, you know.
Other people who have this dream of the business can start earlier in their training and get more of a solid background so that they don't have to make that choice.
I think in the beginning I was really nervous about doing nudity and stuff, and I look at some of my favorite performances by actresses even in the United States, like Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. And I just say, you know, like the greatest works of art are not afraid to go there, and I'm not saying I've been in the greatest works of art, but if that's what I aspire to, if that's what I want one day to do one of those, you know, I can't, you know, be like one of these actresses.
For me, I'm insecure with my body, and it would be more about that. I'm right now really focused on just doing my best work as an actress, and if they need me to do nudity, I'd have to really think about that.
You know, why are we so uptight about sex and nudity in this country? Why does it make the woman a whore or a bad person?
You're a whore.
I am not a whore. I'm not. You know I'm not. I love you. You love me too. I think we can work this out.
I mean, some of the greatest actresses are the French and German actresses, and it doesn't even cross their mind that it's wrong or it's bad.
Here comes trouble and it's just a pretty girl. Hell yeah. But she's gonna be the death of me.
I believe I did nudity my very first job in Repossessed with Leslie Nielsen. My friend and I, Donna Spangler, were in a locker room scene where he runs in and thinks he's in the guy's locker room, and we turn around, ah! And he runs out. I don't have a problem with doing the nudity and walking around nude and being around the people on the set nude. I have a problem at this point, after 120 movies, of doing the same fucking movie again, nude, with a lesser film quality. Instead of a 35mm film now, I'm doing it in digital in someone's fucking apartment.
The fans coming up now are having more problems with nudity than the fans that I knew in like the late 80s and 90s. Like, I'm reading on message boards very derogatory comments towards actresses that do nudity.
You're supposed to be a seductress. Can you please read this a little more with that slutty whore bitch vibe? We love that, okay? All right, take two. Here we go, ready?
I have no problem with nudity. I personally haven't done it. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. There may be a good reason to do it. I haven't had a good reason to do it. I certainly don't want to be cast just because I will do nudity, which is probably one of my fears of why I haven't done it yet. I do think it's necessary in certain roles.
Now, come on. We both know where this is going. Why don't you just pop out them melons, huh?
Not yet. Another time.
I could go out and like take my top off and kill somebody, but it's far more effective in a nun's outfit, you know?
Oh my God! It's a priest!
You broke my nose, bitch.
What did you call me?
One of my best friends at the time, Leslie, knew how worried I felt, and I told her they needed extras, and so she came with me. She was in the shower near me. She and I went to high school together, so it was like, well, I have my buddy here. This is like real, right? This is like one of my high school girlfriends with me here in the shower.
The woman gets up her courage and she throws her baby down, and the guy catches it, and like the crowd is going crazy. The guy goes, touchdown! Oh God.
Folks, you gotta stop judging people on 19-year-olds' bodies. I mean, just stop. Catherine Deneuve is still doing nudity to this day. They understand over there. Film is life. Film is a reflection or an expression, even if it's an abstract expression of life. And that's all it is. And I think we need to grow up a little bit in this country.
If nudity on film doesn't scare an actress, there's almost one subject which unanimously horrifies: aging. Beauty products, sunbathing, breast and cheek implants, facelifts, and other procedures can be an aging thespian's best decision, possibly leading to a resurgence of film work. But does it fix a woman's self-image?
I turned 40 this year, and I treated myself to a facelift and a fat transfer, and took a little fat off the outside of my hips and put it back on my face. And one of the main reasons I had to do that, because I was doing so much documentary work and so much movie work on the digital cameras, and I didn't like how I was looking. Because, you know, the 35mm smooths out the skin a little more and gives you that youth and plumps it up. The other stuff's kind of real and in your face, so I was seeing the flaws. You know, my cheeks had fallen, so they cut the muscle and tissue off the bone and reattached it to the skull. It was more than a facelift. It's called a mid-face suspension or something.
I think women are not treated as well at any level, B or A, as far as age, the type of role. They're not, most of the time they're not given as much to do as a man. I mean, it's a proven fact. They're pretty much done much quicker than a man, and they'll have like men that are much older with the young girls. Maybe that's life. Maybe that's what people want to see.
Hey, sweetie, there's some more bullets for your leg corn in the trunk there.
My name is Donna. Not sweetie, not babe, Donna. Do you think you can remember that?
Fine. Jesus, everybody's so goddamn politically correct anymore.
I don't mind aging into my skin at this point, because I'm comfortable with how it's going to age. I want to be one of those 50-year-old women that say I'm 50. I don't like people that lie about their age or be like, look, how do I look now? And, you know, just over-obsessed about it. I just want to be a woman.
If you look at the scripts that are out there in the world, most of them are still for women in their 20s, just, you know, percentage-wise. I keep encouraging all of the writers in my classes that I teach, the females especially, write parts for yourself. Write what you would want to see. And I have to take the responsibility myself and write for myself, which I have started to do.
The recovery for the facelift was pretty brutal. It was 2 months on the couch in serious, serious pain. I didn't drive, I didn't take a shower, I just sat there like this. Pain pills and my little snacks and Haagen-Dazs. It's funny how $30 for the fancy ice cream can ruin $8,000 for liposuction, I'll tell you that.
I think there are more roles for older women, but it's a very slow process. I think also maybe as more women become executives and film producers and film directors, they're going to be interested in stories about women.
So many people who know that I'm kind of above the movies that they're offering me and the budgets that they are willing to use my name and make me work and pay me some measly day rate to try to build their business and their company and their filmmaking with. And I've done that for so many years for people, and I will pick and choose who I do that for, the people that really deserve it. But the people that are trying to pick me now don't really deserve that. And I feel a bit exploited in that.
Probably the hardest scene that I've ever had to watch myself in is the bathroom scene in Terra Firma. I was like, because when we were doing it, it's so safe. But then the first time watching it, a big screen at Cannes, I was just like, I was so mortified.
Like, would they ever pay me the large sum that they're going to buy their children a house with when I worked hard and showed my tits and had to pay for 4 tit jobs and a $40,000 surgery and $30,000 worth of teeth? Probably not. And some of them I just say, you know what, just film me in my backyard, I'll do it for free.
They won't be a problem for you any longer.
It's all I want to do, so I don't care. If people want to, you know, continue to talk about Sleepaway Camp, I'll continue to talk about it. It was one of the best times of my entire life. So it's cool if people are into it and they want me to work because of it. I don't know, who has the power there, baby?
What about me?
Well, you gotta stay here and take care of Gina.
But what if she turns?
I think you know what this does.
To be remembered in this business, you have to give good performances, and you have to do outrageous things, and you have to wear outrageous prosthetics. So you better hope that in a movie you do one of those 3 things, and then you'll be remembered. Your performance is remembered. And I don't think there's a person who has seen Terra Firma that does not remember that scene, right?
That's it! DJ and I are waving. We've had enough of this shit!
That and the nude guy running through Times Square, it was him and me all the way.
I just love this stuff too much, and my burnout time should have occurred a while ago. You know, my enthusiasm factor or enthusiasm level should have like really capped off about 5 or 6 years ago, and it hasn't.
What's wrong?
I don't want to be like you. I want to stay human.
It's all part of the business. It's all part of the process. If you stay centered, if you know who you are, you do okay. Doesn't mean that, you know, you don't feel like crap sometimes, but it's business.
I mean, I remember when I first had headshots done when I was like 15, and the photographer was so bored and so bitter with actors, and I just thought, wow, why is he still doing it, you know? And I've been shooting actors for a good 7 years now, and I still love it. I still get excited to get someone down in front of my lens and just, I'm like, oh, they're gonna love themselves, you know, after they see these.
I feel burned out right now. I've been here 13, 14 years, and I feel pretty burned out. Like, I do not have a movie within my body. I would be horrified if Steven Spielberg called and said, come on, let's go to Mississippi, we're doing a movie for 6 months. And I don't know if I could even do it. I'm too tired. So I've made a lot of rules that limit people from being able to even use me. I don't travel, I don't leave the LA area, I don't film outside because I have skin cancers, which I had like 3 frozen off today. So there's many reasons why I'm burned out. A lot of digital movies. They just say, hey, the film is free, we can keep on rolling.
There's a good chance you've seen some of the cheap, worthless garbage we're talking about.
But for the sake of argument, let us show you exactly what we mean.
For me, some of the negatives of working in B movies is that a lot of the directors didn't really know their craft. They hadn't had a lot of experience. And you're kind of at the mercy of them, you know, because they are creating a film. It's, you know, it's disappointing when you can't do your best because, you know, it might have been a really good performance, but the person had no idea how to capture it. So that's my main complaint about the negative of working on B movies.
Some days you can wake up and just be, you know, devastated. And you could say, you know, if only I was in the position I'm in now, you know, 10, 15 years ago, that would be the shit, the shite.
We can hunt them down like small animals, and no one will be able to hear their cries of pain and despair.
And I'm not a good actress anyway. Yeah, I've tricked people. You know, whatever they think that I've done, I look good and I can barely act, but they missed the part where, you know, I'm not going to be an A-star with my acting skills.
You're a hell of an actress, aren't you?
What are you talking about?
You fooled me.
How did I fool you?
Come here. I want to show you something.
What? What are you gonna show me?
On the other hand, I have to say that the roles now, even though some of them are kind of borderline, they're way better. They are so way better.
So you're at our house in Beverly Hills. This is where we live, work, play, sleep, train for acting school.
I deserve to be in my home. I've busted my ass for 40 years. And I'm rich. If I can't stay in my Beverly Hills home and drink my own coffee and play with my dog and drive my Dodge Ram and go to my gym at 5:30 in the morning, that's not a quality of life for me, and I refuse to give that up for somebody's stupid film with 8 lesbian love scenes in it.
I think it's because we're all afraid of the dark.
That these projects that are coming up now, they just have more depth, and they may not be as glamour. I mean, they can be, but they may not be as superficially gratifying. My whole life is led up to doing characters that are very, very troubled, as I am, as you can see that I am. The challenge when I was younger was to try to get in touch with these feelings, which was very hard because I was shut off, and that helped me survive the traumas. But now that I'm opening up, I'm ready for it, and I just have to believe.
It's no surprise that horror and action films have always been looked down upon for what some term excessive violence, especially towards women. Clothes are torn, lovers speared, and heads roll. It's also a fact that children are witness to these horrific sights. As violence in society escalates and school shootings fill nighttime news programs, one has to wonder, who is to blame? More intriguing, is anything not to blame?
One thing that does concern me is not only horror films, but violence, whether it be horror or police violence or war violence, is that young children, they take it for granted. They see so much death that they become desensitized to it.
I think if you're already unstable and you watch things, horror movies or violent movies, or listen to, I guess, violent music, it can lead to it. I mean, if you're crazy enough to kill people, then you're going to do it, I think, whether you watch a horror movie or not. It's a question that's asked a lot, but it's always said the news is far more horrific, which is true. So, I mean, you can get your ideas from anywhere.
I would think as an artist we want it to have an effect. I mean, what do we do it for? Why do we tell stories? Because we want to share experiences with other people. So I think that film violence has to be treated as something that has power, because I believe it does.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with horror, music, or anything like that. I think it's got to do with the way parents raise their children and with the way kids are in general to each other that promotes the violence.
Violence is a part of life. Sex is a part of life. Smoking, drug use, it's all a part of life. I think it's the parents' responsibility to monitor what their children are watching, what they're listening to, what they're seeing.
Up to that point in time, my career really had been on the stage in wonderful musicals. Here I made this type of a film so diametrically opposed to all of that. People who knew me back east in Pittsburgh and other states were surprised. I think it bothered them
I have no issues with violence in film. I have issues with violence in reality. I have no issues with rape in film. I have issues with rape in reality. I very much am an adult. I can see that this is a movie and this is reality.
Get off of me! Get off of me! Get off of me! Get off of me!
I was there for a lot of the filming of the violence. Blowing a hole through somebody, the explosions that were set off. It was exciting from a technical point of view. You look at it today and you think, technical? What technical? That was archaic.
On the set, there's nothing, you know, graphic going on. It's just all behind the scenes, you know, when I stepped away and they did the blood and gore and everything. I often ask my parents, you know, how did you let me do that? I was 13, you know, I was a little girl, and I was in Catholic school at the time, you know, being taught by nuns, and here I was by day, like stabbing people, you know.
How do you tell your daughter, right? You know, you raise a child to, you know, say, don't be mean, you know, have modesty, all these good values, and then you've done a movie like this?
Cast your eyes on this. Maui Wowie, 100% seedless prime bud.
Fortunately, our relationship is so wonderful and so open. I can talk to her about anything, and she's always asking me things like, Mom, tell me when you did something really bad. You know, tell me about some stories when you got in trouble. I've told her about this movie. She's 11. She won't see this until she's 17. At that point, I bet she's gonna love it. And she'll probably put her arm around me and go, it's okay, Mom.
What's the matter with you?
They used Dermawax, the same stuff that is used in funeral homes to fill in holes, etc. I thought, ooh, Dermawax, this is what they really use in funeral homes. Funerals scared me to death. Cemeteries scared me.
It was difficult, and when I saw the finished product, it was like, you know, it's like you cringe away from the news sometimes if you really don't want to see it.
I remember walking up the stairs. I literally couldn't go by that mannequin with that Dermawax on it. I'd say to myself, this isn't real, I'm in my 20s, get a life. It was very difficult.
I've been at a sleepaway camp for almost 3 weeks, and I'm getting very scared.
November of '83 came out in the theaters, and I went to see it with my 8th grade class. Yeah, I think my 8th grade class, everybody came, my family. It was the first time I saw it, and it was a surreal experience.
Someone wants to scare you to death.
It's funny because I thought they were gonna cut me out. I thought, oh, I don't know if I did a good job. You know, maybe I won't really be in it. Like, I was the killer, I have to be in it. And pretty pivotal to the story. So when I saw it, it was really interesting, and that last shot just totally shocked me.
It's the culmination of a lot of things. You know, when you're younger and you have dreams and you have aspirations and you know, you want to see your face on the big screen. And it was like, there it was.
When Johnny came back, he reaches his hand around the door with that glove. He pulls me out amongst all the ghouls. Being pulled out amongst those people and just being in the center of them and having them there around me doing their ghoul thing, very frightening.
When I was about 5 years old, I just, like I said, what are the people doing on TV? What's that called? And my mother was just like, well, they're actors and actresses. And I was like, well, that's what I want to do. Well, she told me, you can't do that. I was like, yeah, I can.
My family's huge fans of my career. My mom collects everything. My grandparents brought my penthouse to Bob's Big Boy restaurant and showed it all the employees. We changed your diaper. We've seen it before. Look, everyone. You know, they're just very, very supportive, and I couldn't ask for more. And they'd live on my back if they could, so that's the main thing. I got to keep them home. Hey, here's some money, here's some clothes, here's some pictures, Mom, be happy.
My mother especially is very happy that I'm doing horror movies. She's not ashamed of my career whatsoever. She raised me on horror movies. In fact, her main complaint is my horror movies aren't bloody enough. I need to have more blood in my movies.
We went and saw Slumber Party Massacre with my whole family, and even my grandma, who sat there and 5 minutes into it turned to my sister and said, "This is a scary movie." My father said afterwards, "Well, honey, when you get the role as Cleopatra, you'll already know what it's like to be a sexy woman."
My dad is dead now, but he was very supportive of it. In fact, my mother loved horror movies, and it's not that she wasn't supportive of my choices. She didn't think I could do it simply because, you know, she comes from the kind of background where you just don't act. I mean, that's something other people do. You can't go and achieve that. That's way too lofty. Don't even try it, you know. She doesn't want to see me hurt. But my dad was always like, "Oh yeah, you can do that. Go ahead." I know before he died, he had seen a couple movies. In fact, he was in the hospital a long time getting a heart transplant. He had my movie posters all over his walls, so he was very proud.
My son gets a real kick out of it. I took him for the first time to a horror convention. He had a ball, talking to people, schmoozing, doing the Hollywood thing. He knows so much about horror films. It blew my mind.
My parents were in the military, so I guess that was kind of why their attitude was like that. No entertainment business people in my family, really.
I don't know, maybe I'm screwed up, or they are for that matter. They don't look at it like, oh, that's so terrible, that's violent. I mean, it's art. I'm not really killing people, I'm just playing a role, and I'm grateful to actually be able to do what I love, act. So and no one's ever said to me, oh, that's crazy that you're in horror movies. People find it really cool.
I don't want you spending time with that man anymore.
What? Why?
I can provide some sort of celebrity joy to them, to sign pictures, to send to neighbors, and you bring your friends and family closer because of some odd reason. This culture reveres celebrity. It reveres people in this industry.
Though the character is on screen, the actor has brought him or her to life, endearing them to millions worldwide. Who are these people? The fans.
I've made so many friends with people who consider themselves like, you know, fans of Sleepaway Camp. They're so supportive. I will say that about horror fans. They stick with you through everything. They want to know what's going on. How do you feel about this and that? And I've gotten really involved with a lot of my, you know, friends.
I knew of the Trekkies, Star Trek people, but had no idea that fantasy, science fiction, and horror was so big.
Extremely personal. Yeah, I email everybody back who emails me. I send out free pictures to anybody who sends me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I give, you know, advice. There's a lot of typos, but nobody said I had to spell.
I've gotten a little hardened to some of the more bulk stuff where, you know, they say, I've watched everything you've done, and they'll say, and especially The Seventh Sense. And because it's like, it was a spoof on The Sixth Sense. It hasn't been released yet. You know, it was done through USC.
These fans, God bless them, were just into pictures. And, oh, you're pretty, want a picture sign. No, like that. Great, thank you, you know, it's very, very nice.
Or if all you know is that I'm a cute chick, then just say that, you know, but I hate when they look at the website and glean from the information some sort of adoring bullshit letter.
Only in the past couple of years, with this better work, the more three-dimensional work, have I got truly fan mail. In the past 2 years, I'll have people write me to thank me, and they don't ask me for anything.
I'm sorry.
What'd you do to this guy anyway?
Nothing. He's obsessed.
Obsessed about what?
Me, I guess.
I've had some odd experiences with weird stalking type of fans, but for the most part, they're great.
This young guy showed up at my mailbox that's on my internet site which I don't go to. I keep a separate one for my real mail. Parked out there for a week. Kept going in, bugging the guy, leaving notes. What's Julie's number? I need to contact her. We're supposed to make tapes together, blah, 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 blah. And we were like, whoa, Kevin really freaked out. But I thought it was kind of cute.
Especially fan mail from jail. Been getting that for about 15 years. And the weirdest I ever got from jail was this guy was on death row. I have been convicted of killing 21 women, which I guess means they only caught me for 21 women. And he wanted me to take the picture of him that he had sent and strategically place it somewhere so, you know, it wouldn't actually be a nude photo of me. I was so skeeved out by that letter, I burned it. I just didn't throw it away. I was like, this is pure evil. This needs to be burned. And like, you know, the ashes scattered in St. Patrick's Cathedral or something. Really dramatic, you know?
This is the same old shit. White trash witch? Reputed to be one of Charles Manson's illegitimate children? Blah, 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 etc., etc., etc.
I think the people that get stalked or have problems with their fans are people that are untouchable and unreachable by the public. I give them everything. I show up at conventions in a G-string, or at least I used to, and I email everybody back. I send everybody free pictures that cost me, you know, $20,000 a year. And so they better be fucking nice, or I'm gonna stick this fist right up their ass. Pull their hot out.
After you finish with those guys, rape these bitches and kill them. I know, I would.
Some of the people would be like very standoffish and what are you gonna buy? You know, there was like a little Scream Queen thing going on for a while, which I'm sure upset like the original real Scream Queens that, you know, had actually done a lot. But these women would just come and sell their own pictures, and they'd be very rude to their fans. It's like, if you're not going to buy anything. I mean, I've seen some really awful behavior from some of these women that were just downright rude if you didn't put some money on the table. So I've always been the kind of person that talks to people. I like talking to anybody anyways. It's always been like a really good experience with the fans.
To be able to have the opportunity to say to people who have been so supportive of the film all these years, thank you. Thank you for caring so much. Thank you for embracing this film as much as you have. So when they come up with that big smile, I come right back at them with a big smile.
The best thing that people can do for people like us struggling to make it in this industry is their support, because without their support, we are nowhere. There's no reason to be doing this except for the creative payoff and the feedback from the fans. That's it.
Well, the interesting thing is about the movie industry is that you can do 20 great movies and they will not catch up with you for 5 years.
Julie Stray is Morgana.
So the great work that I did when I first came to town, like Fit to Kill was probably my 8th or 10th movie. It didn't come out for years later, and people didn't figure it out for years later, mixed to cable and blah, 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 and Quentin Tarantino's watching him when he's, you know, going to sleep at night. So by the time that that movie has become something and everybody's raving about it, you're on to like the heavy metal thing. Work on that for 5 years, and by the time that comes out, you're like, you know, on to sexcore or something else. So you're never really changing the diaper of the baby that's an infant. It's like, you know, you just kind of drop it off in a nest and it comes back a 5-year-old.
I would have loved to have made more film. I just got involved with music again. Sound of Music, My Fair Lady, South Pacific, all the good, solid musicals.
Nothing major happened. I mean, I wasn't called to star in any other films or, but I was fine because I was in school. I, you know, was a teenager.
I was in that whole circuit of sitcomville, which was great, but it was just, I couldn't understand why that was. But yeah, sitcoms. I've done more sitcoms than I have film work.
I began working for Aerospace in oral presentation, which was a nice blend. I took a lot of the theater techniques, etc., and was able to fold those into how to stand up in front of an audience and not be afraid.
I suppose just in retrospect, it's become such a big part of my life. It would have been nice to have had something to do, not necessarily even play Angela, but be a part of that, you know, aspect of the whole Sleepaway Camp series.
I started off hardcore writing probably about 3 years ago. Went to Philly, spent a week of heaven in Philly because I'd never been to Philly before. and started writing.
And it just, you know what, it wasn't right. I was 17, I had just gotten accepted into NYU. I knew they were going to film back to back. It worked out perfectly. I mean, Pamela Springsteen is amazing. I'm a big fan of hers, and I'm thrilled it worked out that way.
You never know. I could get an artist deal. Somebody could like one of my songs so much that they say, Brandy, come on in and write with us. Or we have your voices, you know, we love it, so let's go ahead and set you up. Now, wouldn't that be nice?
When I was 9, my dad gave me my first 35mm camera, and I used to run around this town here, North Hollywood, California, photographing all the homeless cats. So I had all these like blurry pictures of cats, you know.
Well, during the heavy metal movie making, when Kevin was too busy to shoot me with our camera, I asked him to put some film in there. My girlfriends were laying out naked in the backyard, and that's how I started shooting. And Magic would come back, and I'd be like, oh, that was lucky. Can we try it again?
And then I went to New York University, and that's an amazing place to be a photography student because you go to New York City and your photo assignment is done in like 5 minutes. I mean, you open up your dorm door, and there it is. Man's inhumanity to man, glamour, poverty, opulence. I mean, it's all right there.
He'd even have to take the film in and out. I didn't even know how to do that. And I just kept coming back Magic. And then I became the hunted. There's 200 people on my waiting list, and I kind of had to shut down because I've shot basically everybody I wanted to shoot. I want to shoot jobs, I want to shoot campaigns, I want to shoot celebrities. Not necessarily girls with bad boob jobs.
If I could do Night of the Living Dead all over again, I would love to be able to do it with what I know about life, about business, about theater, acting, all of it.
I would probably love to do a version of it as long as the director had a vision and was able to create their vision and wasn't pushed in another direction. I don't know, maybe I'd want to direct it.
I couldn't physically do it. There's no way if someone says you're going to have exactly the same life, exactly the same success, you're going to meet Kevin, blah, 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 blah. I could not go through the physical hardness and the airplane flights at conventions of the last 14 years.
It would be exciting as heck to do it again. Does that mean I get to be young all over again and lead my life?
I don't want the little row of box covers that goes all the way around the office room to be any less of cutting out movies that are bad.
What you can do is you take the opportunities in front of you. You know, the doors that are open, you go through those doors, you explore around and, you know, see what's going on. As of late, music has been really, really good, you know, for me. The doors have been opening and I'm like, oh yeah.
I've been fortunate that I've been invited to a lot of conventions around the country. I've done about 7 just in the past year. Now I'm making the move at this point to Los Angeles. So my professional life is really thriving for the first time the way I want it to be.
And I'd love to put to use what I learned with Slumber Party and other jobs that I've done, you know, other roles that I've played.
It's fun playing either that monster or the victim. I like really going to those places, and you don't necessarily do that. I would love to do comedy dramedy, and I have recently done a couple, but there's something that's really intriguing and mysterious when you're filming a horror movie.
Do I want to do other movies? Sure, I want to do anything. I want to do movies that are made well, horror or otherwise. Again, if I only do horror movies, that's fine. I'd like to do a good quality of horror movie with a filmmaker that can make a good horror movie, make a good movie in general.
The side of me that sees where some of the mistakes happened, and not even so much in, you know, choices in film. That's an easy thing to point out. You know, because I've been in so many bad movies and I've done like a few really good ones, but a lot of bad movies I've done. It's not even so much that I would take that back because I've always had a blue-collar approach, meaning I just love to work.
I would have started with this particular acting coach, Ivana Chubbuck, and I started working with her recently, and that just came to my head. It's no gem, but I would have done that when I was at William Morris 10 years ago.
Giving people the ability to screw me over and just like really helping out people before they've proved their mettle with me and having them just like lodge that knife in my back and just being really genuinely surprised and devastated when it's happened.
It's nothing personal.
Of course not. Now you know what it feels like.
Maybe 2 inches taller, bigger tits, higher ass.
I mean, I seriously am not being melodramatic, but I don't think I would have got off the streets and I would end up like all the people around me, like God knows doing what, and dead. Yeah, literally.
I'd probably be an ex-drug addict with 3 rangy kids from 3 different guys in my hometown. I mean, there's really not much to do up there, and that's why I was so happy to flee. I had something to give. I had some life to share, some entertainment in front of the camera. I'm a ham. I think I'm a ham. Just think if I could act, how dangerous I would have been.
If the last few years of hit horror films have proven anything, it's that the horror genre and the actresses who populate it will continue to thrive. Actresses will continue to fulfill the world's desire to visit the darker side of life, helping them cope with the horrors of the real world, or sometimes just filling the need for the thrill of a roller coaster ride in the safety of a theater, or in the darkened rooms of their own homes.
People call me a Scream Queen. I don't mind being called a Scream Queen. I've been in Scream Queen magazine. But if you look at the movies that I make, I'm the one that makes other people scream.
I think of Scream Queens, though, as women that have had, you know, long careers. Brinke Stevens comes to mind.
I remember doing a little screaming in the film, but nothing to the extent to warrant that kind of label.
I haven't done anything that, you know, for me to say I would be in that category.
I usually don't play the more weak victim roles, I guess because of the image, you know, that I created when I went into it from doing domination. I kind of got some of the stronger roles, I think.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a Scream Queen. That's just my gig. I don't know why I feel that way.
There's a Scream Queen from the 50s, there's a Scream Queen from the 80s, there's a Scream Queen that they've kind of reinvented now. It's had such a weird term. At one point, it had a really good term.
I was under the impression that this was the few women who reigned during the 80s.
Kind of crazy, we don't act in anything, we're just going to be nude thing. So I don't know, it kind of became negative then. So I don't know, that's one of the reasons I don't consider myself a Scream Queen.
In the 80s, these women were making cult classic hits. And then it became self-aware by the beginning of the 90s.
That's the fun of it, you know? You could be whoever you want to be and people can perceive you a certain way. And that's cool.
I've actually wanted to do horror movies and set out to do them, but I don't see myself as, you know, just somebody that would pigeonhole myself. I want to act more than anything. And Scream Queen is narrowing yourself, I think, to like one thing.
This is a challenge, people. When is somebody going to come up with a new term? And you know, I think some people think they did with B-Queen or Cult Queen or Horror Actress but you know, it's time to just say, call it what it is. It's called low budget actress.